All right, everyone, welcome back to coverage here of the Magic Online Champion Showcase, season number 2 here in 2025. My name is Corey Baumeister. That's the Hall of Famer, Reid Duke. And Reid, we got one heck of a match here on our hands, but let's first take a look at our standings here and see what we have done so far and see what we still have left to do. So, Reid, what are we looking at here?
Well, let's keep an eye on our Vintage Cube champ, Tom White. Actually lost the first round of Modern, but battled back in round 2. He's going to be in the grand finals representing the Vintage Cube portion, but he needs an opponent. So in order to find that, we're going to pair NathanSteuer at 2-0 against Zompa at 2-0 in a really cool match of two of our kind of unique decks in the field. Meanwhile, our other players, Zompa was a finalist in the Vintage Cube portion, so putting up a generally solid day and respectable run. And everyone else still battling for cash, trying to pair, their best possible finish in Vintage Cube with their best possible finish in Modern, and wrap it all into some very solid prize earnings.
Yeah, I mean, just incredible stuff. Even the match, the O2 match with Adam and Allison, they're still playing a match of Magic for $1,000. So, even if these matches look like air quotes, low stakes or whatever, that's just not the case. Every single player that's playing a match of Magic here has something they're playing for here at the Magic Online Champion Showcase. It's such an incredible tournament as far as value, fun to play, high-level Magic, all that stuff. So we're not going to waste any time. Let's get right into our feature match here of round 3 in Modern. You alluded to the players that we're going to be seeing, but let's check out their stats anyways. It's going to be NathanSteuer here up against Zompo. NathanSteuer on the left has been only playing the game for 9.5 years. And you got to think, he's like 22. So Nathan is still a young buck. He started playing very, very young. There are some pictures of him at Grand Prix back in the day where, to me, it still looked like he needed a booster seat. Like, he was that young, still making day twos at these extremely high-level events. I think everyone kind of knew that what happened in his career was bound to happen, as he really, really has been playing the game at a high level from such a young age. And the other side, kind of the opposite. Maybe we're seeing the beginning arc here for Zompa, as he's only been playing the game for 3 years, which is just incredible to me. 3 years into playing Magic for me, I was playing 80-card decks before Yorion was printed, just because I thought that was cool to play more cards in my deck, Reid.
Yeah, Magic is a lifelong pursuit where there's so much to learn. Even if you can get to the point where it's like, okay, I know the rules, I know how to not make boneheaded mistakes, I can play, even a single deck or format pretty well. There's still so much to being a well-rounded player who can show up and play Vintage Cube and Modern and Standard. There is so much to tournament experience, being able to navigate these long days, manage the clock, outguess tough opponents. And for Zompa to learn to play at this world-class level in only 3 years is really quite impressive.
It really is, because you look at Vintage Cube, and I feel a player that's been around the game as long as we have, 20 plus years, you've just seen some of these cards throughout Limited, throughout Standard, throughout Modern, throughout Extended, throughout Type 1, we could go to all the things we've seen these cards in. But to these players, they're learning all these cards in Vintage Cube, so it makes it even tougher. Same can be said about Modern. But still, one last thing about these players, both have a Modern win percentage at 56%, with Zompa playing, a good chunk more here than Nathan. So really, everything seems to be even between these two players. So let's check out the decks. First, let's start with our world champion here from 2022. That's NathanSteuer playing Jeskai Control. Walk us through this one, Reid.
Yeah, so this has elements of an old style control deck, board sweepers, planeswalkers, card advantage. But instead of playing divination, just raw card drawing type cards, it's getting its card advantage built into the structure of the deck through the Blink package. So Quantum Riddler, Ephemerate, Flage, Fable the Mirror Breaker. So kind of like a hybridized deck that's getting everything that you want about playing a reactive control deck while also just being very high power level and playing a density of the best cards available in Modern.
Reid, how many control decks have you played with the card Divination in it? I bet it's not 0.
I've played control decks where I kill for a Divination. The worst one I've ever played is Inspiration, which is just 4 mana, draw 2. That's it. That's the end of the text.
Wow, that's it?
Mm-hmm. 4
Wow,
mana, draw
okay,
2.
that card doesn't have rebound or anything?
Nope.
Jesus, okay, impressive stuff. Let's take a look at NathanSteuer's opponent. That's Zompa playing the deck that we just saw with maybe this teched out version of, mono green Eldrazi Brood-Scale hybrid with the 4 Vexing Baubles. So I think it all comes down to, do we think Vexing Baubles good against control, or is this kind of a dead card?
Not a dead card. Similar to the previous match, it's going to tag Ephemerate on the rebound. It's going to stop Solitude.
Okay.
So that's something already. More than the Vexing Baubles, I kind of like the Eldrazi ramp positioning in this matchup because the Jeskai control deck, its strength is really in its removal. So it's, Flage, Galvanic Discharge, Board Sweepers, and Solitude. Those are all the very best cards for dismantling opposing creature decks. But if you're playing an opponent who's just playing 2 mana land after 2 mana land, ramping up towards Emrakul and huge Kozilek's commands, a lot of the best weapons in Jeskai are not particularly effective against that. So I think Nathan's going to have to get a little bit creative, use the half of his deck that can apply pressure, and sort of take the game in a direction that maybe his deck is not as comfortable with in order to get a win against Zompa.
All right, so the question of the hour, Reid, Nathan or Zompa, who do you think is favored?
I'm picking Eldrazi Ramp. I think this is a really powerful deck, well suited to playing longer games, and I'm optimistic from the Ramp side.
All right, I'm going to put a slight advantage to NathanSteuer, just the experience of being here before. But hey, I think this match could go either way. Let's figure it out who is going to take it down and lock up this other World Championship slot for 2026. All right, welcome down to our feature match here for one more time within our Swiss portion before we get to the grand finals after this. Looking at the hands, look like NathanSteuer won the die roll and has an extremely medium hand here, Reid.
Well, this is kind of what I was outlining going into the match. Imagine you had this hand against Boros Energy or Is It Prowess or something. Like, you're thrilled. I'm going to just kill their first 4 things, gain a bunch of life, set up for Flage. But against Zompa, you might get into this holding pattern where you're just doing nothing, waiting for your opponent to get up to Emrakul mana, and that's not a winning line. So Nathan actually makes a mulligan there, like a context-based mulligan, looking to find something just a little bit more proactive.
Okay. Interesting. Thought about getting rid of Mountain, decided not to, and switched it to Solitude. I'm also kind of looking at Spell Snare. I haven't played this exact matchup out, but every time I play against Broodscale, they go from 1 to 3 quite often. But of course, I guess it does still hit Rumble, but it's not the best card in this matchup.
Right. I definitely like keeping the lands for Nathan because I think what you want to do is just make land drops and then eventually restock and try to get ahead with Quantum Riddler. And if you miss your third land
Spell
drop,
Snare on the bottom, but I think it's close.
Yeah, between Solitude and Spell Snare, I see where you're going.
Yep. So Ugin's Labyrinth comes in to play, getting rid of Devour, and here is Vexing Bauble, which, hey, maybe Nathan's on top of the game. No Evoked Subtleties are really going to be a thing, so maybe a next level play there. We're going to get a Scalding Tarn sacrificed, Meticulous Archive to take a peek at the top to see if he likes it. It's an island. He doesn't like it, and heads that to the yard. Now, turn number 2, the question, do you warp a Riddler or hold up Spell Snare?
I think hold up Spell Snare makes sense. Because there's nothing really that you're rushing to. It's not like, I need to warp to hit my third land. It's kind of just, we're in the developing stages. We're making land drops. We're seeing what happens.
The Fairy Time Reveler off the top is actually quite nice. So could go to bounce the Vexing Bauble, but of course, if Zampa decides to just sack it in response, that would prevent the card draw from Nathan. But looks like Zampa is actually responding here with a Causal X command. I would say K command, but I know that's going to offend you as a Jund gamer, so I won't say this is the new K command, okay?
Right, yeah, I mean, it's K command junior, maybe. The
Yeah.
The smaller, less impressive version of Kolagon's command.
Okay, if you're talking to exactly you and, maybe my brother, two diehard Jund lovers, the rest of the world probably thinks this Eldrazi one might be slightly ahead of Kolagon's command. Okay, but wait a minute. What? Is this just infinite mana?
Yeah, this is infinite mana. This is Zampa comboing off, notably with the Vexing Bauble, so no worries about Solitude breaking up the combo.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, Nathan didn't have it this time anyways because we bought him the other Solitude, but hey, it didn't matter. This Vexing Bauble kind of did what it's supposed to, and now this turn looks like it's going to end with a very arbitrarily large Brood Scale, 2 Thought-Knots coming into play, and, a Haywire Might if you want, or you can sack Vexing Bauble now that you know the coast is clear.
Yeah, so it's fascinating because, once again, the game does not end here, and Nathan can untap, and he can bounce the Brood Scale, draw another card. He's got, board sweepers in his deck, so anything can kind of happen here. But Zampa does get to deploy his whole hand. He, with all this mana and seeing the coast is cleared, elects to sack the Vexing Bauble. Don't think he can get access to green mana for the purposes of Malevolent Rumble, but he's going to put himself in a very dominant position and really put Nathan to the test of like, hey, what can you find off the top right away?
Yeah, and the one thing that, Nathan doesn't even need to find anything. He can just Teferi bounce the Brood Scale, and then there's not a lethal attack on the crackback. So Nathan has 2 looks at it, and then essentially a third off the draw step. So there's the first look. Subtlety is quite bad. Looks like Teferi bounce is going to be the next way to start. That is the case, and the good dog, Philia, comes down to join the party. All of that, though, pretty medium and extra medium when you see there's only 1 blue mana.
Yeah, I was going to be heartbroken if Nathan drew Supreme Verdict and couldn't cast it due to having the 2 like effectively mountains.
Yeah, that would have been devastating. Reid, was there any thought to like a hasty Phila to just like blink out a Thought Knot to draw a card? Is Thought Knot templated where if it leaves instead of dies?
Yes, I believe so. If it leaves the battlefield,
was that any consideration? But I mean, that doesn't seem like a very great play either.
I don't think you have to rush because your goal is to find a board sweeper before you die, and you're still at 17. You're getting the Brood Scale off the battlefield, so I think Nathan is right to sort of like take one more turn to set things up. But it's good to be aware that you can make plays like that.
Yeah. Solid sequencing here, going with the Rumble first, saying, you know what? If you have a Spell Snare, which the Spell Snare is face-up information, thanks to the Thought Knots, be like, if you want to counter it, knock yourself out. If you don't counter it, then Zampa's just not going to cast the Brood Scale. It's not going to play into it this turn. So I actually like that counter quite a bit because no matter what, the combo turn, it can happen. We're 1 mana short of being able to play this Devourer on the good dog. So really tight Spell Snare there where you think like, oh, I don't want to Spell Snare that as, you need to kill the Brood Scale. That's what's going to combo off. But Nathan recognizing the contextualness of that turn.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would be really scared of the Rumble letting Zampa set up in that way.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, I was wondering if we were going to do this. Draw a card. Okay. I mean, at least you get to kill the Brood Scale, flash in Subtlety, go to 12. You got to do it with the Thought Knot trigger on the stack. And then now you just got to beat 2 4/4s.
Sure.
Yeah, so, Nathan's still in it.
Yeah.
It's kind of a top deck battle at this point, right? Both players at a reasonably healthy life total. Well, actually, maybe I shouldn't say that. Nathan is a bit under the gun here with no promising blocks and then going down to 4 or perhaps even 3.
Yeah, and all he needs is 1 land to be able to cast the Devourer in hand, and on top of it has the Saga to just start making some constructs. So I would definitely say it's Nathan that needs a great draw here. But man, even like a Flage maybe would put us in a position where we could get somewhere. Maybe Flage isn't enough. Let's see. Big draw step. Mystic Gate cannot be strong enough, but we do get to do the Fila trick again and blink out the big Thought Knot.
But that's it. If Nathan doesn't draw something relevant here, he's dead. Okay, he can Ephemerate Felia to chump block. That's a tough way to do it, but I guess, can technically see another turn.
If Nathan had 8 mana, or excuse me, 7 mana, I would think there's a way where you can stabilize. Top decking Flage, Arena of Glorying Flage. It's hard to not come back in a game when you can do that. But with only 6 mana, the front half of Flage is nowhere going to be near enough. I guess a fetch land would probably be the best, right? Surveil a Flage into the yard.
Yeah, that's the miracle, I guess.
And God, does it feel bad when your opponent does it to you, let me tell you. Right, here is a Rumble, deciding if you want to save the green mana or not. Goes for the Rumble. We'll see if there's any draw that can just win the game outright right now. I don't think so. Emrakul. We got to be a little ways away from that, but, That locks down the fact that if somehow Nathan does get a Flage, everything goes well, and we're still playing Magic this turn, Emrakul can come and be the closer. Big draw step, and I think the best draw was a fetch land and a Galvanic Discharge. We already do have 1 energy, so this does kill a Thought Knot. We're still live. And Arena of Glory number 2 is not going to do it. And a 7/7 Thought Knot Seer is going to come across for the win up against our former world champion. So Zompa is 1 game away from a world championship spot here, Reid.
Thankfully for Nathan, I do think he gets some nice weapons off of the sideboard. So we talked about White Orchid Phantom. It's not as good as it would be against Eldrazi Tron, but still very, very strong, especially if you compare it with Ephemerate or Felia.
Yep.
Along the same lines, Ragavan is a great addition to Nathan's deck. When we were looking at those opening hands, we're kind of like, oh man, so many of his cards are reactive when he really wants to be proactive and put Zompa under the gun. Well, Ragavan lets him do that. Now that's actually something concrete that he can look for in his opening hand with his Mulligan decision and try to get onto the board and just get the game over with.
I love it. So it looks like Nathan has to take 3 cards out. I'm snap taking those Spell Snares out, though. Like, they only hit Rumble and the Basking Brood Scale, and there's still Caverns for the Basking Brood Scale. It feels too narrow to me, but maybe I'm just a Spell Snare hater on the play. I like it on the draw where you exchange Ragavans, but yeah, maybe you still leave in Ragavans on the draw up against a deck like this, to be honest. And then the flip side, we see Veils coming in as well as the one of Surgical. Veil does seem good. I guess it's just extremely good up against Consign, huh?
That must be the idea. It's extremely bad against Teferi. So,
It's also bad against Subtlety.
mm-hmm.
Okay, this hand has what we wanted to see. The old turn 1 Ragavan plus the turn 2 White Orchid Phantom here just seems extremely strong.
Yeah, this is Nathan did mulligan, but this is the best turn 1, turn 2 opening that he could hope for.
Yep. And we'll really just see, is there any way to do any interaction on turn 1? I don't see it. So just a Vexing Bauble to prevent some free spells. And, Zompa can have the answer for the Ragavan next turn with that Kozilek's command.
Something kind of cool, Corey. Nathan had to bottom a card after his mulligan, and he bottomed Sacred Foundry and then fetched for Sacred Foundry. So basically just took 1 additional damage. But the benefit he gets from that is 1 free card in the graveyard for Flage. So just, an example of attention to detail and taking, a different path to get to the same outcome that Nathan believed was a little bit more favorable.
And I mean, the next level point on that as well is to avoid the moto bug of drawing the card you bottomed. That is just genius. Just kidding. That is not real, y'all. Although it does feel like it at times. And maybe that's just what players notice. Is whenever you mulligan or you get thought seized, you draw that card, All right. So, Kozilek's command, being able to exile Ragavan and just draw a card here. I mean, whenever you have 2 mana, kill a creature, draw a card, that's just incredible. That's just already so devastating. So really nice stuff here. And Nathan is now just left with a Flage and a Dream.
That's right. Nathan's top of his library hasn't been super good to him. In terms of he had that great opening, but now he's feeling kind of the resource disadvantage from the mulligan and not having any plays that he can make to continue progressing his board state. Meanwhile, Zompa, okay, the White Orchid Phantom slowed him down a little bit, but it's kind of a blip on the radar when he gets to, he's just playing a Soul Ring land, a 2-mana land every single turn of the game.
Yeah, I mean, this draw looks amazing. And I'd be tempted for this Thought Knot as well because, your opponent's at a low resource. It ends up not being great as Nathan's hand is, so bad already. But, now one of these Surveil lands has to do some good work for Nathan. And we're going to be close to bringing back a Flage, but even with a fetch land, we are going to be 1 card short. So Ragavan off the top, not exactly what you want now in the face of a 4/4. But you do get to attack for 2 in the air, putting the opponent down to 11, putting Zompa down to 11, and trying to line up a situation where we can Flage with Arena of Glory next turn. So, are you incentivized to try to block with Ragavan to get that 5th card in a situation like this?
Yeah, I think I would. I think I would block with Ragavan if given the option, which Zompa may choose to just not even give Nathan the option.
Oh my god. That's the Brood Scale. We don't have green mana available, though, so we can't do it this turn. But, God, this deck has just looked amazing, Reid. This Eldrazi deck is just... I mean, this Eldrazi deck or this Brood Scale list, I don't know truly what to call it because we've been seeing him win with kind of both sides.
Yeah, both Eldrazi Ramp and Brood Scale were high performers at Pro Tour Edge of Eternities. Neither one broke into the top 8, but both were just kind of quietly putting up really high, above 50% win rates throughout the event.
Yeah.
Brood Scale in particular, I find remarkable because of the number of solitudes in Modern right now. I'm a creature lover. I've played Yawgmoth and various creature combo decks and beatdown decks and Zoo over the years. But I was scared. I'm look, I don't want to be trying to put creatures onto the battlefield and set up these complicated board states when I'm going to get Solitude ephemerated.
Yeah.
But the fact
I'm
is,
totally with you.
It's just good enough. Like, and this Brood Scale deck attacks from enough different angles, and it makes you think, well, hey, I'm a ramp deck, and the game's going to be about rushing to Emrakul and fighting my lands and whatnot, and then all of a sudden you tap low on resources and you're getting comboed out of nowhere.
And honestly, Reid, I think, we notice trends, and I don't know about you, I'm sure it's the same. Some of my favorite things about, commentating these regional championships and stuff, and the fact that we get 2 of them, is seeing these metagame shifts from week to week, or seeing the metagame shift after the Pro Tour and see what gets picked up on. And the one metagame shift that we're seeing based around the card Solitude is they're turning into subtleties even more. So I think there's less Solitude now, and this deck already did well. So, I mean, this seems like a great choice if you're going to a regional championship. But all of that being the case, Reid, I think we're done here. There's the Basking Brood Scale. You can equip it. You get Glaring Fleshraker going, and that's just game. It looks like Zompa's even going for the safe line here of just casting Emrakul instead of going for the combo.
Yeah, wow. So he's going to get to steal Nathan's turn. Can sort of suicide attack the White Orchid Phantom. Notably, the Flage is still a wrinkle.
Yep.
So you can exert both arenas of glory.
No! Didn't we have a much better play? I mean, double exerting, that's nice, but didn't we have a better play here of the fetch land, exert Arena of Glory, bring Flage back, attack with Flage and Night White Orchid, and deal 6 damage to the Flage?
Yeah, and then basically it's be a similar outcome, but the fetch land is gone and the graveyard is gone.
And yeah, the graveyard's gone, and the 1 Arena of Glory is exerted, but, I mean, minor, but hey, those things definitely add up.
The problem, Corey, is that Zompa is just too trained into playing good Magic, and you can't see those boneheaded lines like we can.
Hey, that makes sense. And that is Zompa locking up a world championship slot here over the tournament favorite, or one of the tournament favorites next to Yuki, with this extremely awesome, and I'll say a pretty teched out version of this Brood Scale and Eldrazi deck. Reid, are you as impressed as I am with Zompa and that deck?
Super impressed. I mean, he brought a great deck. He played it well. He's bobbing and weaving, using the right line for the right situation with a multifaceted deck. And let's not forget, he was also in the finals of the Vintage Cube portion, right? So he's 5-1 over the course of the day. He's just cruising through a really, really tough field.
5-1, and he's been playing Magic for 3 years, Reid. What the heck? Playing at this level is truly impressive, and I'm getting word from our producer that Zompa is ready for an interview, so I'm going to jump on over there and see what he's got to say about his huge win. So let's check it out. All right, everyone, I am here with Zompa, fresh off the 3-0 in the Modern portion. Dude, you just qualified for the World Championship. How you feeling?
I mean, it feels unreal. Like, it was my goal, like, playing this event. And during the draft portion, I was actually 2-0 and had already my win and in for Worlds, which I got destroyed in. And now I got to 3-0 the Modern portion. It just feels incredible. Like,
wow, so far you're doing it as good as you can possibly do it. Getting the 2-1, just barely missing out, and then getting a 3-0. You've locked up a ton of money. You've locked up that World Championship spot, and you're about to be heading to the Grand Finals to play a match, for a casual $4,000 here. But before we get into that, walk me through your Modern deck, because there are a lot of interesting choices in the list you played. So yeah, walk me through everything with this.
yeah, like, finding a deck for this event is really hard, I think, because you can't really know what people are going to play, because
Yeah.
you can't really just track them. and you can have to guess what is going to happen. But I was just fresh of the Atlanta Pro Tour, and seeing the metagame shift, I just felt like everything I knew about Modern was wrong, and every deck is playing like an insane amount of free spells, and it feels like Legacy or something. And so I came back, and during the playing I was thinking, where can I fit 4 Vexing Bubbles for the MOCS? And then I went through a list of decks. I actually tried Energy with them. I tried Through the Breach of Eldrazi with them. And then I just realized that the best deck to do this is in Broadscale, because not only like you get to play this, it works really well at protecting your Broadscale when the main removal in the format is Solitude. So
Yeah, no, I mean, that seems like a really nice metagame call. 4 Vexing Bobble in the main is not something we see, basically in any deck. What were you exactly targeting? So I know free spells. Is there certain decks that you're targeting with Vexing Bobble?
In this field, 4 players were on Affinity, and you basically get to just stop half of their deck for free. That works really well, and watching the Pro Tour metagame, the most played deck was Gario, and that deck plays for Force of Negation and 4 Solitudes. And even Ephemerate, you get to counter the free cast on the rebound thing. Which helps against White Orchid Phantom, White Orchid Knight, I don't know what's the name actually, but...
Yeah, White Orchid Phantom.
Yeah, because they don't get to kill your lands 6 times.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it really, really worked out. You were able to get that 3-0. Now looking forward, I know it's hard to even come down from the excitement that is making it to the finals, because, I, for one, as a diehard competitive Magic player, I've tried to queue for this tournament every single time, and I'm still commentating. But then when you get to this spot where there's 8 players, I think every single player would just lock in a second place, because no matter what, that is going to get you that world championship field. Would you have locked that in going into the event?
You can bet money on that I would have. Yeah,
exactly, right? So you would lock that in, but now you have a different situation. You are already there, so that's behind you. Your world championship slot, all the money you've already won. Now you have one more match here to be, the winner of the MagicOnline Champion Showcase, where, people will remember the second place person because, they go to the world championship. But you remember the person who wins a lot clearer. And you're going up against Tom White, who you lost in the finals of in that Vintage Cube draft. And Tom is on Affinity, the deck that you're metagamed against. How are you feeling going into the finals?
I mean, I played him round 1 on the modern portion, and I was on the play, and it wasn't really close, I'd say. The second game was actually tougher, but eventually Emrakul gets there, I feel like, most of the times. I mean, I feel pretty good going through this final. I think my odds are good, and I don't know. He's just an incredible player. So, and also I'm the one prepared, and he's the one that didn't really know what he was facing. But maybe after playing him one match, maybe he starts to understanding better what he has to do. I don't know.
Yeah, and it seems like to me, I mean, the number one thing you want to be doing against a deck with 4 Vexing Bobble when you have a bunch of zeros, win the die roll. That seems quite important, as even if you have all these bobbles, if your opponent does just go a bunch of 0 drops, and then you're on the draw and you play them, that can be a bit of a problem, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I'd say you should win the dice, even if you don't play the Vexing Bobbles. That helps a lot.
Okay, all right, that's just good advice for everyone watching right now. If you want to be in your position, win some die rolls, make sure to metagame correctly, and play very, very well. That's a lot easier said than done, that's for sure. But you got yourself a match for $4,000 on the other side of this, so I wish you nothing but the best of luck, and hope you are the champion.
Yeah, thank you. Can I add something?
Yeah, thank whoever we want to thank, any of that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm doing that. I would like to thank like guys at Team Vents, which I prepared for the Pro Tour and helped me navigating Vintage Cube and also validated my choice. And I also want to thank like guys from my regional team, which is Team Trecani, which I founded, and
Okay.
they like guys that helped me test the modern matchups a lot, especially Filippo and Franco. Like those guys were like very important for me to prepare for this event.
Yeah, amazing stuff. And Team Vent, you know, number one, the greatest team name I think I've ever heard. And yeah, you just had a player, what, Miko, I
Yeah.
want to say, was in the top 4 here at the Pro Tour in Atlanta. So, you know, you saw that success and you're ready to replicate it yourself, huh?
Yeah, me and Miko worked very like closely for that event. I ended up playing the exact same list as him, and it was a fun time. And I'm happy that it was my turn today to win something.
I absolutely love it. Well, Miko locked up his spot in the World Championship last weekend. You did it this time. Looks like Team Vents and the rest of your teams for the Regional Championship and the Pro Tour have kind of figured this out. So you're putting the world on notice, and good luck to you in the finals, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, Reid. Really awesome hearing from him. I love that you like see your teammate have some kind of success. It feels like the fire was lit with him, and overall, it just seemed like a really nice kid. That was a fun interview to do.
Yeah, I was really impressed. You know, like the humility shown through, the joy shown through, and just like he seemed to be really, really happy to be playing and having success, which makes him an easy person to root for in my book.
Yeah, and the fact that, you know, he like what he said about I tried a bunch of decks with Vexing Bobble in the main, like that really resonated with me because he doesn't seem like the player that's going to be like, hey, I'm decently good at this game. I'm going to just find a deck list that did well at the last Pro Tour, maybe something that looks positioned. He's like, no, he created it, you know? So, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's an aspect that people are really going to look for with him as a teammate, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I mean, you can see it on his player card, like the volume of games that he gets in. I believe him that he tried a bunch of different shells of Vexing Bauble. So, you know, in terms of the hard work, the dedication, and just sort of the problem solving element of like, I know what I'm up against and I want to find the right way to attack it. Really smart and, you know, well-rounded in terms of tournament preparation and a really scary player if you're his opponent.
Reed's just like, okay, let's see if we got any openings on TCG, Team TCG player
That'll
here
be-
for these next
It's a
Pro Tours.
strong application, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Reed's just scouting here. That's the main reason why he's coming in to do these commentating events. But that is going to do it here for the modern portion. But just like Zompa was saying, we have one more match. It's $4,000 worth of a match of Magic, and that is no tiny stakes between these gamers. So before we go, let's talk about MagicOnline's really cool events one more time, as just want to give a big shout out to them, and gonna give a shout out here to the Creator Game Show. I don't know if you've seen this, Reid, but it's pretty cool stuff. There's 8 creators, 1 winner. The next show is going to be next Saturday, October 18th, so make sure to tune in. There is always just a bunch of shenanigans going on. There's drawing contests, there's trivia, all kinds of things that we wouldn't normally see on a Magic show. You know, there's not a lot of Magic playing, but it's really about the game show aspect of it. It looks like a lot of fun. I got to try to get involved in one of these things and test my might here with trivia and those kind of things. So really cool stuff. Appreciate you, MagicOnline and the Daybreak team. We're going to take ourselves a very short match, but on the other side, it's the grand finals between Tom White and Zompa. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.